So Daniel Lappins is the kid that's Nathan's patient. His mom actually was from
Oh, really?
So it's really fun. And then doing that son, Tyler. Well, he's Nathan's age.
So even if you send them a station.
Okay, while Matt's doing that,
Yes.
we'll just keep going, so, I think what, our next session, I'm gonna go over Camp Minor and just show you a few things where things are so that you can see and, know, cause then from there, you'll just be able to use it a lot easier. Really quickly, I'll talk about medication. So if your camper takes any sort of medication, meaning that they're gonna take the medication daily while at camp, or perhaps like, they might have allergies, but you're not really sure if they're gonna take it daily, then you need to sign up for Camp Doc. Okay, and Camp Doc is our medication service that we use. They pre-package the medications to make it really safe and efficient for our nurses to use, because we have so many kids at camp and with medication, whether it's vitamins or allergy medication or something more of a prescription med. So with Camp Doc, there is a link both on our website and it was sent in an email to you. It's also, I think, connected to the online health form in there, but if you need the link, just email me and I'll send you the link back. But any camper who's going to take daily medication needs to sign up through Camp Doc. If your child is to get sick at camp, like has a fever one night, we have Motrin, we have Tylenol, we have all of that at camp. If your child gets a cold or anything like that, if your child gets, let's say, an ear infection, then we're gonna take them, if we don't have a doctor on staff, because we do have a doctor on a couple weeks of camp. Some of our families are gonna be doctors if they have a doctor in the family, so they'll be there a couple weeks out of the summer, but not always. We do have 3 nurses on staff. 2 of them are nursing students, and 1 of them has been a nurse 25 years. So, and she was with us last year. Nurse Paula will be with us again this summer, and then we have our two nursing students. So, but if anything was to happen, we would take them into the clinic, which is 5 minutes from us, the Marshfield Clinic. There's also the Howard Young Hospital, which is a very good hospital there, with an emergency room and all that. We are 5 minutes away from there. So if anything was to happen with ear infections or strep throat, whatever, we would take them into there, and then the prescription would most likely be filled at Walgreens. So if you have a Walgreens account or use Walgreens and want to set up an express pay or whatever, you can go ahead and do that. Because that's where we would most likely be filling any prescriptions that are given while at camp. Camp Doc has its own pharmacy, but to get it through Camp Doc would just take longer when we could just pick it up in an hour at Walgreens after that. So make sure that you sign up for that. So that's any allergy meds, Zyrtec, anything like that. You do need a doctor's prescription for those, even though they're over the counter, for them to fill it through their pharmacy, which we need them to fill it through their pharmacy because they come in prepackaged strips with the day, the time, how much it is, and plus it's for our records for the Wisconsin Health Department. For MARS, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but when you give medication, you have to keep a record of it. Camp Doc uses an online record, which is accepted by the Wisconsin Health Department, so that's why we use this, plus the ability just to be able to rip those off. Any medication that's not used will come back to you, and then they'll be in those nice strips, and then you can also just rip them off and give them to them daily. So make sure you sign up for that. Any questions about nurses?
What about EpiPens and stuff?
EpiPens, you should definitely send an EpiPen up. You don't necessarily have to register those through Camp Doc if you have them, just as long as there's a prescription on them. And so if you could send one in a new box, that we know that is safe for that. I think they'll distribute them anyways if you're doing it and you want to get one. We also keep our own EpiPens. We keep them in the nurses and down by our mess hall. So we keep EpiPens on, but yes, you should send EpiPens if you have them.
Just for the headache, the whatever that comes up, do you have liquid Motrin and Tylenol?
Yes.
Or pill?
Yeah, both.
You have
We'll
both?
do
Okay,
both.
so
Yeah. And
you don't
anything
have
we
to send
need, we
that.
just go into Walgreens. We're very well stocked because of the area that we're in too, but we're well stocked with any of that stuff. And you would see on the health health history, there was like a list of all the medications that said like, my child can take this,
Yeah.
like that, so that the nurse can see, like, okay, they've taken Tylenol at home, they can take it here, and they would ask if, do you take liquid or pills, and anything like that too, like anytime your child goes into the clinic or sees a doctor or has to spend the night in our infirmary, a nurse is gonna call you. They're not gonna call you if they fall and like scrape themselves and have to get Neosporin. But if they are not feeling well or whatever it is, they're gonna call you and let you know, or they'll email you and say, I just want you to know that, you know, Jimmy was here with a headache, we treated it, blah, 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 he's fine, he's out playing, and then they'll follow up with you. But you can also email them, they each have their own email address, which is Nurse Paula at Coaga, Nurse Claire at Coaga, and Nurse Courtney at Coaga. And that will all be, you'll see when they email you anything, that you'll just respond to them.
And you said those three, they're all 8 weeks?
Yes, yep, and then we have a couple of family doctors that will come in and out throughout the summer.
If the
Yeah.
kids don't, I mean, down here, they don't have allergies and they get up there and they're like horribly allergic to whatever's in the air, like you get.
Yeah, I mean,
Claritin,
if,
if
right,
they need it,
yes,
they get Claritin.
if they're like in need of Claritin, we
And they
will
never
have
had
that.
it.
But if they've never had it before, we would
Gotcha.
contact you and say this is what's going on, like. But yes, there is definitely some kids who may not have allergies here, come up there. The pine trees, you know, the lake, whatever it is, can set off some of those things, and then we would just assess that and call you and figure out the plan, yeah.
Does it make them uncomfortable to have like morning medication? Does a lot of kids do it, or is it? pretty-
Yeah, no, a lot of kids do it, like, people don't even notice, they don't know, no one knows what anyone is taking, they just know, and it's like, it
I
almost
mean, about
becomes like a.
80 to 100 campers, depending on the session, take medication
Right.
on a regular basis. So
Right.
this is the norm.
Right, and it's like, some kids are taking vitamins, and some kids are taking allergy meds, and it almost becomes like a club, they're all like, hey, you know, like, so, no
And
one,
then
no
it
one
becomes
even
a game that
thinks.
they don't get their medications until they're called up and everyone starts to cheer for them.
Right, it like almost becomes, like, yeah, it's like, no, yeah, no. Usually the nurses bring the medication down to the mess hall, so when they're walking in, they just grab it and take it, and then if there's people who have to take it in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, then they just know to go up there, or there'll be an announcement or whatever it is, but no one even notices, really. Okay, so,
All right, so has everyone been on Campminder? I hope. Some dads too, hopefully. All right, so that's Campminder. We're going to take you into a personal account here.
I'm gonna take you into my account, which you will see, I am delinquent on my forms.
So for those of you that don't know, we have a son, Tyler, who is a current 5th grader, soon to be 6th grader. He'll be a Sioux this year. So he's a full 8-weeker. So this is Tyler's account, and this
Okay,
is what
so
yours will
on
look
our
like.
website, you'll see a thing that says family login, and that's where you'll put your email address and then your password. If for some reason, I mean, and it's very sensitive, so make sure that you know your password and you know the email address or you might get locked out. If you get locked out, you're just gonna shoot me an email and say, I got locked out. I'll send you a re-invite, which then you will have 3 days to use the re-invite to change your password or whatever it is. So then when you go on, your dashboard will look like this. And you can see right across the top, email, news, videos, photos. My account is where you're always gonna go back to get to this dashboard. So the first one you should go to is the forms and documents. And this is where all of our stuff is that you were to fill out, and any of the packing list,
All the
camper
informational
guidebook.
documents are going to be towards the bottom, and this is going to be a packing list, the guidebook that we were just talking about, so you can always pull that up. Father-son weekend information, and then for those of you when you start doing visiting weekend, we send out the information, but also the itinerary on how visiting weekend works, directions, all that is on your visiting weekend document notes. So there's always informational documents underneath the form section.
An important one to hook on there is, if you haven't done it or updated it, is the camper photo, because then when they go into the nurse, they can kind of match the photo, the counselors can kind of see them before they go. So just, if you can, hook up you just upload a photo right to there. Everything's pretty easy. No, it's fine. So make sure, and then the one that's been tricky for people is the insurance card and the parent authorization. Make sure that you have to print that page out, attach your cards, like, photocopy, attach your cards, or put your cards on there, make a photocopy, and make sure you sign it. It needs to be signed. So then you scan it back, upload it back to your account, but make sure that you're signing it. And then transportation, you need to fill out both of the transportations. So this is what it looks like. And then you just click on, and it also gives you the information like the bus pickup and drop off spot, if you're gonna drive, and then if you're gonna fly, you'll put the information in there, and then make sure I have that information. And then make sure you click on also how your bags are getting to camp with Camp Laundry or whatever. Okay, so then down here where it says your camper, the camper application, the camper information, this is where you can change any information that maybe it's in there wrong or whatever. I think you have to email us if you want to change any of the solid information, like what year,
Right,
if any of that's wrong.
If you move, if your son's grade is wrong, that I need to do. Just kind of our end, because that's hard data, and as opposed to like a form that you're filling out. But so that's stuff you can just always email me and correct it. I usually catch most of it, but it is really important in particular that we get the grade level right, because the grade level matches their age group level, and that's how we make cabins. So if your son is listed as a Mohawk B, but he's really a Sioux, that's a whole different set of cabins. Okay, so just make sure, and it's the grade your son is going into, the rising, we call it rising, right? So if your son's a third grader, he's a rising fourth grader at camp.
But just make sure you go in there, click on the camper information, make sure everything is correct before you go. And then, if your cell phone changes, your phone number, make sure you check that stuff, and you can just go ahead and do it on there. If you've moved or you are moving or later and you're staying with us for a long time at Quagga, which we hope you do, that if you've moved or anything changes, just check your family account. If you need to add a credit card or any financial stuff, you can click on that on here. This financial is not the same as a credit card they're going to ask you for CampMinder if you're buying the camp stamps. That's different from us. That's through CampMinder only. So I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so then you keep going down here. The camp stamps. The camp stamps are what you're going to buy for to write the emails. So the emails we were talking about before, those are camp stamps that you can purchase through CampMinder. And it will, when you click on there, it will give you all the information that you need. And
you can gift camp stamps, so you can buy them for family members. You can buy, so you'll see buy more, give some as the hyperlinks. So you can gift them and you can do them yourself.
And then down here, our online community, the only really one you're going to use on here, well, there's two, but this email, so that's how you email your camper. You're going to click on it. And then it just tells you. Okay, so some of the things on here, we don't print in color, it prints in black and white. So I wouldn't waste the extra money to make the stationery pretty, besides the fact that the boys, I don't really think care about the thing. But some of the stuff is like the games you can put on there, or I think I don't know if there's one that you can put like some stats on there, from sports things and stuff like that. But just remember, you don't need to make the stuff pretty because it's not going to come out. And tell your family that too. And then down at the bottom, you can see there where it says guest accounts, and that's where you'll sign up your family for a guest account. So if they want to email or friends want to email, then they can get their own account with their password. That all they're going to be able to access is the email and stuff like that. So then what happens when they do that response is that there's a barcode connected to the response paper. And that barcode, when it scans, when we fax it, it will go to your friend's account, whoever is connected with the barcode. So if you give them one of your pieces of paper, like a grandma, like if you say write your grandma back on that, it's still going to come to your email, which is fine, and then you can forward it to grandma or whatever, but just know that the barcodes are connected to the thing.
By signing up a guest account, does that give you that grandmother's information for them to be able to see the photos in the closed group?
No,
And
so we don't see any of it, we don't see it, so like you can
Okay.
see my mom's on here and Matt's mom, and then you just like fill in their stuff, and then if like their password gets locked up, you have access to unlock it.
Just for the email.
Right, for the emails and stuff like that, so that's really all they see on that. Okay, so that, any questions about CampMinder? Everything's on there, so it's nice for us because, and that's why we're doing all the online forms, because everything goes to your child's account, and then we can access it at any time. And what's nice for us is like, if they go and visit the nurse and you call me in the office, I can just see that they've been in there or whatever. So that's a great communication tool for us.
Let me just add one thing, because I've had this question a few times via email. If something changes with your son's health or what have you, and you've already submitted your online health form, you can go back and update the information that's changed and resubmit it. And we'll only have the most up-to-date information. So that you should do, and we would ask you to do, because that way, as your son comes to camp, we have the most up-to-date information, because maybe he does his health checkup, and then, within this next 6-week time period, or over the summer and what have you, and something changes, please update your online health form accordingly, okay?
Right, and that also goes for travel information. It's really, really
absolutely.
important that you change if you change your mind and say, okay, now I'm gonna come pick them up, change that in your CampMinder account. And also send us an email, but change it in your CampMinder account, because we don't want confusion where, we think he's going on the bus, but then you show up that day to pick him up, but we had him on the bus. So make sure you change it in any information that changes, change it there, and also just send us an email so that we're all on the same page.
So after you've already uploaded the form, you can just do it again, you're saying? Like, if you've already filled out the transportation form and uploaded it?
Yeah, the
you go in-
transportation form is online, so you'll be able to switch it anytime, yeah. And you just wanna make sure that you check it, that it's the correct, before camp starts, I would just go back on there and make sure that you've clicked the right thing, so that you make sure that